Hello, Cleveland, and welcome to emergency edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am your host, Jackson McCurry. Anthony Jokey is rolling with me, and the news that a lot of us didn't think or didn't expect or didn't want to happen did indeed happen on Friday afternoon. The Cleveland Browns and Houston Texans agreed to a trade that will send quarterback Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns, and he waived his no trade clause. To agree to come to the Browns. The Browns are sending 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick to the Houston Texans, while the Texans send Deshaun Watson and a future fifth-round pick back as well. The Browns also gave Deshaun Watson a brand new 5-year, $230 million contract that is fully guaranteed. That's the largest guaranteed deal in NFL history. I would say this is probably the most difficult podcast we've had to do in 5 years. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is, when he's on the field, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but obviously there is a big shadow, a big dark cloud hanging over him because of the serious allegations that have been brought against him over the last year. Obviously, he's still dealing with that in a civil suit. The criminal charges didn't go down, but this is definitely a difficult subject to talk about and a difficult thing to digest as a Browns fan. But Anthony, I mean, like I said, this is difficult for us. It's still very uneasy to discuss about everything. But I mean, the Browns look to upgrade the quarterback position, and they did. But man, this is definitely difficult to swallow.
Yeah, ever since the rumors started that the Browns were pursuing him, I've been trying to think of what I would say if they ended up getting him. And after yesterday, we thought that we weren't going to get him, but there was a big change of heart, and money talks. And the Browns didn't give up in their pursuit of him, and I was beyond stunned today that they were able to pull off a trade for him. They were told yesterday that they were out of it, and by somehow they were able to convince him to come here, to waive his no trade clause, to be a Cleveland Brown, and I have a lot of different emotions. I feel excited for the Browns, but I also feel very upset, very pissed off, because the off the field stuff, to me, greatly outweighs anything he could do on the field. Now, you can make an argument that people deserve second chances, but when there's 22 potential victims out there who have made accusations against you, clearly you had more than one chance, and it's very tough. There is a lot that he is going to have to prove from here on out, to obviously not only the Browns organization, but a lot to the fans, a lot especially to women who were unfortunately on the wrong side of this. There's a lot he's going to have to do, and I don't know what that entails, but there just has to be something done. I don't know if it's, in the wake of all this, becoming an advocate for, you know, for women and doing like sexual assault stuff and um, sponsoring shelters and sponsoring programs and doing something. But there's a lot he's going to have to do to get the public trust back, because there are a lot of Cleveland Browns fans, both men and women, that I've seen on Twitter who are absolutely disgusted by this. And personally, that's kind of, where I am too. Um, it's very tough. Um, we've spent how many years, Jack, talking about Roethlisberger and the stuff that he's done or allegedly did. There's a lot that Deshaun Watson is going to have to prove to a lot of people, and I don't know if that's ever going to be possible. But uh, it's going to take a long time to for that to happen. And for the Browns fans who I see have determined that they're not going to root for this team because of it, I totally understand. I totally get it. And it's a very tough thing. It's a very tough pill to swallow when the team that we love brings in somebody like this.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, since, like you said, the first time the Browns were linked to Deshaun Watson, I think it was last Friday, like I've had this uneasy feeling at the thought of him being on the Cleveland Browns, and, going through all this week, the Browns meeting with him and everything. Like it just did not feel like it was going to be right to picture him being on the Cleveland Browns, even though almost 5 years ago, he was almost drafted by the Browns. But, Thursday, it was like the weight of the world got lifted off our shoulders when the reports came out that they told the Browns that they were out of the race and they weren't going to get it. And I just thought, this felt felt a lot more easier. Obviously, the drama with Baker Mayfield came soon after that, which is a whole nother episode we could do. And we will do at some point once, Baker is officially off the Browns. But, all day today was talking with people like, oh, who are we going to go get? Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, whoever. And then around, I think it was 3:00 or so, 4:00, I get the push notifications from Adam Schefter's Twitter, and I legitimately thought it was a fake when that said that he had changed his mind and decided he wants to play for the Cleveland Browns. I was like, oh my God. Like, I just could not imagine like this was actually going to happen. And it's still like, it's hard to like process it all just because of what he has done or allegedly done off the field. We always say innocent until proven guilty. He wasn't charged criminally in a court of law for anything, but like you said, 22 allegations. It's just a lot you can't just push it aside. You can't do that. I mean, there's too many allegations out there to make me think something didn't happen. I feel for anybody that has ever been sexually assaulted in any way, whether it's a man or a woman. I can't imagine the thoughts that go through the victims' minds after something like that happens. I feel for everybody like that. I feel for, there's women on Twitter that are Browns fans that are saying that they have gone through it, and I feel for them. My heart breaks for them. My heart breaks for anybody that has gone through that. This is going to take some time. And you said it, Anthony, like Deshaun Watson is coming to Cleveland, and yes, he gets a fresh start technically, but also at the same time, he needs to prove that whether this happened or didn't happen, that he is going to be a model citizen. He's going to be somebody that tries to right the wrongs that he may or may not have done, being an advocate for organizations that are against sexual assault. Like, I feel like because of what's happened with, Kareem Hunt in the past, how the Browns put him on the right track, I expect the Browns to also do that, and not just for Deshaun Watson, but for the Cleveland Browns, because they are taking a major PR hit by doing this. Yes, they are doing this for their football team, the product on the field, but off the field, they also have to be an advocate against sexual assault. They cannot stand there and let these things go on. The NFL should also do this as well. They should do what it takes to prove that they aren't for people being for sexual assault. Like, they need to do things to show that they support victims of those heinous crimes. And, it is going to be interesting, that first press conference. A lot of people said it. Dee Haslam needs to be up there on the podium with Deshaun Watson. She needs to explain why she would allow him to be on this football team, why the organization decided to take this chance on Deshaun Watson. Everybody does deserve a second chance. I'm not saying that, or I am saying that everybody deserves a second chance, but also at the same time, Deshaun Watson has to prove that this was the right investment for the Cleveland Browns, for the city of Cleveland, for the fan base. They need to do, he needs to show that whatever happened or didn't happen, he needs to show everybody that it's never going to happen again, and that he is sorry for what may or may not have happened. And, it's going to take time, but I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm trying to put the words together, and it's just so difficult, but like,
I know. I felt like I rambled too. Like, it's so hard to like try to wrap your head around all of this,
it
and
really is.
there's just so much. There's just so many different things that go into this, and it's very difficult. Very difficult.
It really is. And like, it's I don't know what to say about the off the field stuff. I mean, the allegations are there. If Deshaun Watson did it, shame on him. Like, he's a horrible human being. But at the same time, he is here as a member of the Cleveland Browns now. Like, I just hope that whatever he did in the past, if he did do it, he has learned from it. He does not do it again. Like, I mean, you obviously can't make up for that, but you have to hope at the same time, like, it's never going to happen again. He's going to do what it takes to make things right in the world. And he said this for the first time he spoke to the media last week, that he wants to be, he said he's going to keep fighting to rebuild his name and rebuild his appearance in the community. And, obviously the league is investigating it still personally on their side. We still got the whole personal conduct policy that they're investigating. We're all expecting a suspension at this point. Sorry, my phone's ringing, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to discuss. I mean, it's still going to take a lot of time, but, you just got to hope that Deshaun Watson will be a better person from this moment forward. Like, we can't, I don't know. It's just a lot to stomach.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, I'm not a dad, but if I was a dad and I had daughters, like I I don't know what I would do. I like, how do you sit them down? As long as they're old enough, and like try to explain this. It's just. Um, and even like Ken Carmen talked about last week on Fox 8, like how he talked about how he's raising his boys, and what he's trying to do, uh, to where they never do something like Watson was alleged doing. It's like, if you're a parent, how do you take your kids to the game to be a Browns fan? You know, um, it's so difficult for all of this. So there's just so many different thoughts that are running through my head, and it's so hard to sit here and try to put them into words. But um, it's certainly a shock, and there's so many different emotions that I'm thinking right now, and there's just I'll just go back to it. There's a lot that has to be proven by not only Watson but some others in the organization too now, because making a trade like this, there's certainly the ramifications of it, and they're gonna have to deal with that. Um, there's so much attached to this, and there's so many layers to it, and um, there's going to be some people that are going to have to answer some very tough questions. Obviously, the Hasms are up there, so it's just a very tough thing. It's if it was a trade for like Russell Wilson, we would be like celebrating like crazy, and there'd be no second thought about it, right? But because of everything that has happened with Deshaun, um, it I don't know. It's so tough. It's so difficult to describe, and it doesn't feel right at all.
It really doesn't. I heard somebody earlier on a Twitter space, and they were saying, when we traded for Odell Beckham, like it was just like we were going crazy. We were celebrating. It was like, when the Cavs won the championship when LeBron came home. But this is definitely different. Like I know there's some Browns fans celebrating, and it's like, yeah, the Browns did upgrade at quarterback, and that is something that we got to talk about to a point. But it's like this is bigger than football. This is the real world, and like what he did off the field doesn't give us cause to celebrate for what he's done on the field and what we hope he's potentially going to do for the Cleveland Browns. Like that's just like there's no way to that. His on the field play could not overshadow what he's done off the field. Like for some it will in due time, and you know at some point we might cheer him because he led the Browns to a win or to an AFC championship or to a Super Bowl, but it's like you still can't justify what he did. It's the same reason, and a lot of people brought this up. We walk past when we've been to First Energy Stadium, Anthony, Jim Brown. Jim Brown's one of the greatest football players of all time. But when you read about what he did off the field, it's like, how can we appreciate that man as an icon in this town and for the Cleveland Browns when you look at what he's done off the field and it's like, he's a despicable human being. Like, and Jim Brown, I'm sure in time has, regretted the things he's done personally to women, but it's like at the same time, you can't take it back. And if Deshaun Watson did do these things, you can't take that back. It's just it is really difficult to talk about because stuff like this is difficult to talk about. Women being abused, sexually assaulted, raped, whatever you want to call it, it's just not right. And you hope that Deshaun Watson in time is regretful, and hopefully he's regretful now if he did do anything, and that in time he makes up for that stuff by giving back to the community, by giving back to victims. I mean, that won't justify it, but I mean, being an advocate saying, hey, I screwed up, I fucked up, I'm going to try to make this right. I don't know if anybody will ever forgive him for it, but if you take those steps forward, I mean, people will give you a second chance. At least that's my opinion. I could be totally off base like that, but I mean, yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's and there are a lot of people now um, whose jobs depend on Deshaun Watson, being a better person. I don't want to even say football player because it's I don't even know if that's right talking about the football side of it, but the whole front office ownership, if things, don't improve, and he were to do something again, I don't know how anybody would be able to trust the front office or ownership again. Um, it's I kind of feel that way. It's a hard thing, but when you make a decision like this, you better be prepared for all the consequences if it doesn't go right. And if it doesn't go right, Jack, um, the franchise is going to be needing to be placed in somebody else's hands.
Oh, this is a franchise altering move, both good and bad, because like you said, if this does not work out, especially off the field, yeah, this could be a franchise crippling move if it does not, if things go extremely sour, the way they did to a degree for the Houston Texans. But let's try to talk about what, the deal and everything. Obviously, we thought the Browns were obviously out on this. I think most of us had hoped the Browns were out on this, but as of Thursday night, we knew it was down to the Saints and the Atlanta Falcons, and a lot of us thought he was going to the Atlanta Falcons. That was his home area team. He has a connection with the ownership, being a ball boy for the Atlanta Falcons when he was a very young man. And then based on reports, it seemed like, and good call by Jack Duffin, I will say this, because a few days ago he had said in one of Chops' Twitter spaces that he had thought that, potentially Deshaun's agents would ask for a reworking of the contract. And it seemed like the Saints and the Falcons both weren't willing to do that. And behind the scenes, obviously, Andrew Berry and the Browns organization started pushing. They kept making an effort to get this done. And obviously they did, because Anthony, they backed up the Brinks truck. And this is unquestionably the largest contract in NFL history, because they gave him a brand new contract and fully guaranteed $230 million. So not only is this a major implication for, the future of the franchise, but they backed it up with money. So, and I know people are going to say, well, money isn't everything, but obviously I think money was the big factor in this, because the fact that they fully guaranteed $230 million, which just broke Aaron Rodgers' record set just last week at $150 million. They showed that they were very serious to go all in for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, they were. And doesn't it also feel not right that the way the contract is structured, that his base salary is only $1 million for the first year. So if he is suspended for the whole year, that's all he's going to lose out, and he'll still have another $229 million for this whole thing.
Well, the way I've seen it, because it's $1 million base salary, he originally, with the way that his contract was structured, he would have lost, if it was an 8-game suspension, it would have been $1.94 million per game. Now it's only going to be about $55,000. So if he's suspended 8 games, he's losing close to $500,000. So yeah, this feels even dirtier, because the way they structured the deal, it's like he's barely getting off if he's suspended for 8 games to the personal conduct policy.
He's not even getting a slap of the wrist to the wallet.
It's just
if he's suspended.
Yeah, because he gets a $45 million roster bonus or signing bonus with this new deal with the Browns. So it just feels dirty on so many levels. This is, like I said, this is the most difficult podcast we've had to do. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Hold on, I'm trying to do the math now to see like what percentage that would be. So, $500,000 of a $230 million contract. That's only 0.22%.
Yeah, it's barely gonna affect him. Like it's so difficult, man. Obviously, if he's found I don't know how these civil suits work, but obviously I'm imagining if he is found that he is of wrong for any of these allegations, um, a good chunk of that money's going to the women. And you know what? Good, because if he did do something wrong, a big lump sum of money, which it's not going to take the pain away from those women, but good. Take the money from Deshaun Watson if he did do this. So, you know what? Good on that. So
they should have put in his contract that some of this money should go to shelters and stuff.
and you know what? Maybe he does do that too. And maybe the Browns do that as well, and hopefully they do. It's not even a maybe. Like, they need to. If he's gonna, admit his wrongdoing and showing that he's a changed man and he's willing to do what it takes to help, like you said, shelters, and advocate for to be against sexual assault and to help victims. That'd be a good way to do it. Like, I've seen Browns fans, and myself included, donated to RAIN, which is against sexual assault, rape, and incest. It's a foundation. Like, hopefully he does that. He donates money. The Browns donate money, because I've seen Browns fans, myself included, do that today. So, that would be a good thing to do with that.
And not just the Browns donate $1 million. It needs to be much more significant than that, especially after giving Watson $230 million. It needs to be a substantial amount.
Amen.
That they need to do.
Amen. And not only did the Browns, show it with giving Watson a big contract, but they essentially went all in, Anthony. And we've always wondered if the Browns ever would get a quarterback or had the chance to get a quarterback, if they would go all in. And essentially they have, giving up 3 first-round picks, obviously the 13th pick this year, first-round pick next year, and obviously in 2024. They also sent a 3rd-round pick. We don't know which. It's either 77 or pick 99, which they got for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah taking the general manager job in Minnesota. And they also get a 5th-round pick back, but send a 4th-round pick. So the Browns did go all in, obviously. They added Amari Cooper, already having Nick Chubb here, Kareem Hunt, David Njoku, and then you look at Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball, John Johnson, Denzel Ward. The fact that they didn't give up any players in this trade was surprising to me, because all the reports were it's 5 to 6 premium assets. We expect, Denzel Ward was rumored in the trade. Kareem Hunt was rumored in the trade. There was even rumors about JOK or Greg Newsome, but the Browns only had to give up draft picks, which is very surprising to me. But this is kind of the signal of, we're going for it now. Despite what anybody thinks about Deshaun Watson, despite the fact that he's probably going to miss some time this season, it's Super Bowl or bust mode now for the next several seasons for the Cleveland Browns. And, regardless of how you feel about Watson, the direction of this franchise, we know Andrew Berry, Paul D. Podesta, Kevin Stefanski, they're hitching their wagon, and Jimmy has them. They're hitching their wagons to Deshaun Watson, but they're also saying, we are going for it. We're trying to win a Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history.
They're hitching a lot more than their wagons.
They're hitching their professional careers. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah, because if the Browns do not win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years while Watson's under contract, this will be even more of a complete disaster than it already is. And that might be harsh, but that's the reality. This signing is a brutal one, or this trade is a brutal one, and I guess signing because of the contract too. But if they don't win anything in the next 5 years, then it's a complete disaster. And like I said earlier, the franchise needs to be taken and put into somebody else's hands, because you're mortgaging the future. You're doing a lot more than that. So it's a lot. But if they don't win, it's even more disaster than it already is.
Pretty much, they essentially sold their soul to try to win a Super Bowl. They sold their soul to the devil to try to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
And you know what? It might be great to win that Super Bowl in that moment, but after the game, it still probably wouldn't feel right, to be honest.
It really won't at this point. I mean, who knows? I didn't even know like what to say, but we say this, but at the same time, seeing the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl or even make it to the Super Bowl, we're going to be emotional about it. Yeah, it's going to feel really awkward and uneasy if Deshaun Watson's the quarterback leading us there. But at the same time, as bad as this might sound to people, and I'm sorry if this has offended people, at the same time, we're supporting the names on the front of the jersey, not on the front of the jersey, not the back. At the end of the day, we're supporting the Cleveland Browns, regardless of their moral compass today being altered by picking up Deshaun Watson. We're still supporting the names on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough too. I will always be a Browns fan, but this is something that is really going to test that. Even to the point, Jack, I'm reconsidering my season tickets. It's
and I don't blame you for that one bit. And I know people are also doing that. Like, I don't blame anybody for the decisions they're making when it comes to being a Browns fan. Like, if you don't feel uneasy, if you feel very uneasy and uncomfortable cheering for the Browns and you don't want to do it anymore, completely understand.
Yeah. I think I saw, was it Jeff had a good tweet. Feels excited, feels upset, and feels pissed. That's just how I feel too, and I think a lot of us do. And it's a tough thing to maybe get over down the road, if it's even possible. So they better be right. They better be right.
Yeah, I need to pull up the tweet from my buddy Jake Samulak. What did he say? He said, completely understand the excitement from a football standpoint, along with the gut-wrenching feeling from a moral standpoint. It's not a bright, sunny day for some fans here, and I hope a lot of you will understand and accept that. And I feel like that's the way a lot of us feel today, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. So tough.
Yeah, and from one altering move, there's another one coming, obviously, and it's obviously the departure of Baker Mayfield, and probably the next time we sit down here, Anthony, we will talk about Baker in full once I would say the trade's complete, because I think we do need to take a few days after this, because this has been one of the not only days, this has been one of the craziest weeks in Browns franchise history, and I feel like we need to decompress for a little bit before we sit back down again.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I can say. Decompressing, I think, is a good thing to do, especially after this week. It's been a long week, and to culminate it with the trade today, and just how not great I feel about it. I think a few days would be good for everybody.
Yeah, without question. To those that listen to this podcast and have been a victim of sexual assault, we are here for you. We are here with you. We love you. We support you.
Plug that website again too, for donations.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me pull it up here real quick. Because I did post it. It's Rain, RAINN. I think it's. Let me look up the website real quick. I'm sorry, folks. It's rain.org, RAINN.org. And there's also the National Sexual Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-4673. Definitely go donate if you're a Browns fan. It's if you need help, call that hotline, go to that website. They will help you for sure. You guys know where to find us on Twitter at JackMcCurry08, at Anthony Jokey, at the Dogland. Until next time. And, it's difficult to say this, especially after today, but go Browns.